Welcome back to the This Day podcast. Y'all, I am so excited for this episode of the podcast. Today on the pod, we have my good friend, Josh Singletary. If you want sunshine in your life, like at all, Josh is the person to bring it to you. He is one big ray of sunshine. I think just about all the time. I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad day. And if he's having a bad day, he will quickly turn himself around. Y'all, so get ready for this conversation with Josh Singletary right after a word from our podcast sponsor. Friends, we are so excited to partner this year with an incredible wellness company, and I cannot wait to tell you about this wellness company. If you are somebody that likes to get your groceries, your household products shipped directly to you, I have just the company for you. This incredible wellness company takes anything that you would order from Walmart, Amazon, whatever, and it ships directly to your door. You can find the link for this company in our show notes. We are so thrilled to partner with them because everything is American made. You cannot get any better than that. So check out the wellness company and everything they have to offer.
Started because the Zoom lady said recording is in progress. And if we're not recording, the Zoom lady has lied.
That's true. That's true because the Zoom lady is always right. Always right. Well, Josh Singletary, welcome to the podcast. How's it going, my friend? How's life?
Real quick, what's the title of the podcast?
The This Day podcast.
This Day podcast. I love that name.
Don't you? And you're going to love it because
that.
I'm going to ask first question off the bat.
Oh, go.
What is keeping you present during this day?
What is keeping me present during this day? This is going to sound relationship. That's what I'm going to talk about. This is going to sound cliche. My relationship with the Lord. Let me tell you something. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, Josh, man, how do you look happy? How do you keep the energy up? How do you all that stuff? I said, one, I cry a lot. I cry. You don't get that stuff out, man. It's going to drive you crazy. You got to release. You have to let stuff go. I cry a lot. Two, I incessantly berate the windshield and the shower wall. I have imaginary arguments all the time. Three, man, I talk to the Lord non-stop. You know when it says pray without ceasing, that doesn't mean go around all day long, every day, hour by hour, minute by minute, walking around with your eyes closed and your hands folded, and oh, our mighty Father in heaven. That's not prayer. We have a relationship with Jesus who allows us access to the throne, right?
Yeah.
So I talk to him all the time. What about this? Why is this? What do you think about this? How do you think? That's how I get through this day and every day. You have to. I don't know how people without the Lord do it. I don't know how they do it.
That's so good, Josh. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. Now, you need the Lord because you're in a group with a bunch of crazy guys that you have to keep all in line called Tribute.
Oh, listen, I keep them all heavily sedated. They don't even know they're in the world.
Okay. Good. That's what we need to know.
I keep their meds fed.
Good.
Heavily sedated. They're out of it all the time.
Good. Good for them. Good for them. Well, how did that whole journey for you begin, Josh?
Well, with Tribute, this will be December 31st of this year, 2024, will be 18 years, which is crazy to think of. 18 years. I started with a little mom and pop group by the name of the Wilburns. Before that, I started with a little group back home in North Florida by the name of the Pagets, whom I still dearly love. I don't get a chance to talk to them much anymore because, life. But it was a mother and two daughters, and they asked if I wanted to play. I said, sure. So I played for them. We went around the churches around the North Florida area. And then I joined the Wilburns in 2001. In 2004, they retired, and Gary and I decided to start a group, and we started Tribute in 2006. And December 31st of 2006, and it's been 18 amazing, challenging, and very interesting years. And we've had some of the greatest guys travel with us. We started with a couple people, and we went through some. I have always said we have some of the greatest guys that have ever traveled with us, and that is true. And the guys we have now, Gus Gacious and Ian Owens, are no exception. Man, they are consummate professionals, and they are brilliant at what they do. They know what they're doing, and they've been doing it forever. Ian's been doing it about as long as I have. This is my 23rd year. Well, March will be my 24th year, but this is my 23rd year in gospel music. Gus has been doing this for over 30 years. Gary's been doing this 41 years, and it's great to be able to travel with that. So yeah, that's kind of how it came to be.
I love it. I love it, Josh. And people, they see you with Tribute, but they don't realize you're kind of this big deal piano player, right? Like you have this
I am.
new project out called Grand. Like, let's be real.
I I do. I have a new project out called Ground, which came out in January, and it's grand.
It's
It is
grand.
grand. If it's one thing, it's grand. I had the privilege of working with producer and orchestrator extraordinaire David T. Clydesdale, who's absolute genius. And actually, the project, a lot of people don't know this. I'll share this. The project was meant for somebody else. And that person wasn't able to see it through to fruition. So they called me and asked me if I wanted to. I said, yeah. And so we worked it out, and I was able to finish the project. They had everything done but the piano. So I lived with the orchestra that had already been recorded in Prague. I lived with the orchestra for about 6 months, then went into the studio and laid it down, and then this January it released, and then February, the craziest thing in the world, don't even know. It was number 8 on the classical crossover Billboard chart. Number 8. I was like, yeah, I was like 2 below Kenny G. I was right there, and I was like, that's my CD. And I remember I asked I asked Daywind, my record company, who's distributed through New Day. I said, how does that happen? And they said, honestly, I'm not real sure of that process. So they have a connection there at Billboard, and they kind of they figured out that it's a consumer based thing. You don't. It's not how many plays you get. It's not necessarily how many CDs you sell, though. That really albums you sell, though. That really that helps. But it is what's being played over all platforms, streaming platforms, social media platforms, everything. And so I contribute that position on that chart to the consumer, because it ain't nothing to do with me. I just released the CD.
Yeah. Well, it is an incredible project,
Well,
and
thank you. That's very kind of you to say, Megan. By the way, I miss your hat.
oh, I know. See, I thought about wearing one, but I was like, I just don't know if it's
I
gonna work
wore
for
one.
this.
Now this isn't like one of your hats, but mine is more for going outside.
Going
That's not
outside.
so much for style.
Maybe we'll bring it back for convention week. I don't know.
I think you should.
Should I? I don't know. I have a whole wall of hats in my house.
And speak of
So
convention, I just have one question. I just want to know if um, cookies are going to be baked backstage again. That's all I want to know.
the secret is cookies will be baked and we are going to bring an air fryer to make pancakes.
What?
So at the early
Really
morning
loud.
chapel services.
Sorry, Hoey. That was okay, so we have to let the people know it's not for everybody. It's just for the
Yeah.
crew. It's
Please
not even
don't,
for
please
the
don't
artists.
come back.
It's for the crew. We love the crew. Actually, I don't know if a lot of people know about that. Megan, you help out at as the crew
Yes,
at
I do.
at NQC, and you do a fabulous job. It's always great to see your smiley face back there.
It is very fun. And we make cookies for the crew and select artists.
It's exhausting. NQC is exhausting.
It's a big week. Like
I remember 2 years ago before I did my live thing. It was Wednesday, I believe, and I was fried, right? Because I start Sunday. I'm there from Sunday to Saturday, right? Just like you are. And I was fried. And so about 10 minutes before my YouTube live started, a shameless plug here, NQC, youtube.com/NQC online. I go live every night at NQC. All right. Anyway, I walk around, and I have to say this too. People think because it's labeled NQC Live, they're going to be seeing the singing. Let's clear that up with the people. You're not going to see any singing. That's not how it works. You're live with me talking to people who are there. We're going to have fun. We do games. We do. We just talk to people and hear what they have to say because people are funny and they will say anything. Anything. It's the greatest thing in the world. But anyway, so it was a Wednesday, 10 minutes before I got on. 10 minutes before I go on, there's a chair, one single solitary chair sitting there next to the microphone table. And so I'm the only one back there. I sit down in the chair just like this. And I go like this. I take like a 5-minute nap. And I'm awakened by Chandler Bauckham walking by going, "You done?" I went, "Yeah." And then you grab the microphone and you get out there and you put on the happy face.
Well, your lives are the highlight of NQC. Okay,
Boy,
I don't
so
know if we can
fun.
say this, but who has been the most interesting person interaction from those lives?
The lady who I asked for a volunteer to play a game, she came running from the back of the auditorium. I mean, me! And she ran up and she stood there. I said, "Okay, I guess it's you." And I said, "We're going to play a game called Finish the Lyrics." This is what happened. She goes, "Oh, no." And I went, "Oh, yeah." I said, "What?" She said, I'm not. I said, "Well, you just ran your little self up here to play this game, didn't you?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "We're playing it." So I went through every song, and she didn't know a blessed song that I'm talking about. I had one that went, "When we've been there."
Super easy, super basic.
Nothing.
10,000 years.
Nothing. And I looked at her, I said, "You have been the greatest contestant that I have ever had." That was one of the greatest, one of the weirdest. Like I said, people walk up and say anything. Because after that, for people who don't know, after that, I go out in the hallway and I talk to people. I had one man one year, he walked up, and people don't think about what they say. They don't. They just say. They just want to talk. They just want to. They want to be funny. They want to try to say anything. I'm talking to somebody, and this old man walks up and he goes, "I want to cut your hands off and take them home with me." I went. Now, I knew what he said, and I knew what he meant. What he meant was, I would like to have that kind of piano playing in my home. That's basically what he was meaning, and he was finding a funny way to say it. Though, odd way of putting it. So I said, I knew what he said, but one of the greatest tools I have in my box is going, do what? And he repeated himself. I take your hand home. I said, why would you want to do? You're live now on NQC's live, and tell everyone hello. They just will say anything. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Oh my goodness. Those are good ones. I did not
Yeah.
think of those two.
Oh boy. What one did you think of?
Um,
Or did you have one in
I
mind that you
I
sort of
think
remembered?
so since the stage hasn't been in the round, like when since it's been at the
Oh
wall,
yeah, I might have to figure that out
you
this year.
get a lot. Well, now this year with it being back in the round, I think you're gonna have to circle. But
I'm gonna have
I
to.
think when the lady came up and like she just grabbed the bag out of your hand
Yeah,
and
now that
just
was
took
fun.
her prize before even doing the thing,
That
that
was yes, that was a funny moment. That was a funny moment. I'm telling you, people are crazy and they will do anything. They will do any. I am so looking forward to see what kind of contestant I have for games this year. I've got to think of some new games though. I'm going to try to come up with some new ones. I've been doing the same ones for the last 3 years. I need to come up with some new ones.
oh, you should get
I
a
am going to
little
do two truths and a lie. I like ending the week with two truths and a lie with an artist because people feel like they know who you are and they don't.
they don't.
They don't. So I'll get a known artist to come out and on the last night, and they'll provide me with a list, a 3-item list, which are two truths about them and one lie, and the person has to figure out which is the lie. That's always fun. It's always fun. I did it for me the first time, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
I love
Trying to see
it.
what people think.
I love it, Josh. Would you have expected that you would be doing all that you're doing when you were like 10 years old? 10-year-old Josh, would he have expected all of this?
10-year-old Josh didn't know what to expect because 10-year-old Josh had tons of interests. 10-year-old Josh, 10-year-old Josh um, was so full of imagination. Um, 10-year-old Josh wanted to be in music. Uh, Not in this capacity because I didn't know there was a genre of gospel music like ours.
Yeah.
I didn't know there's a bunch of this. I didn't know anything about it, and furthermore, it wasn't. I grew up in a very. My parents are some of the greatest Christians to have ever lived, and I could not have picked my what parents I wanted any better out of a lineup if I had that choice. I was very blessed with some great parents, um, but we did not listen to gospel music all the time because it just wasn't. Just it just wasn't. Not that we had anything
Yeah.
against it, not that we didn't like it, or it wasn't there. We did listen to some Christian music, but not a whole lot of gospel or Southern gospel music. Not a lot of quartets and stuff like that. So I listened to whatever mom and dad listened to, which was Cool 96.9, which was hits from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Right? Good music. Really good stuff. And so that's what I grew up with. So I didn't know there was a genre like this until I was like 16. So 10-year-old Josh would not have had a clue um, that I would have been doing this. 10-year-old Josh was very interested um, in creating things, in playing the piano. I was taking classical lessons then. 10-year-old Josh was was a magic nerd. See, see, look, see, I can, it's magic.
Wow.
Oh,
Mind
thank
blown.
you, thank you. Isn't it though? 10 year 10-year-old Josh loved um, when I was growing up, we had some really good movies. We had some really great stuff. So stage acting was a curiosity to me. Matter of fact, I
Yeah.
think when I was 10, I think I auditioned for a movie.
Wow,
around that
Josh.
time. I obviously did not make it. However, I did audition for it. I always was interested in stuff like that, and so no, um, I would not have ever dreamed I would be right here, you know, where I am.
I love it. That's incredible. And
Well,
you can
thank
see
you.
all that God has done in your story and how he's brought you so many different places to meet so many
He has.
interesting people.
He has. He absolutely has.
Look at
He has.
that, Josh.
Hey, you want to
Now,
see? You want to see something neat? While
I want
while
to
we're
see
on
something
the
so
topic of my
neat.
childhood, you want to see something neat?
Yeah, I want to see something very
So,
cool.
so a friend of mine. I wonder if I can hold tight. Stay right there.
Okay,
Stay right there.
not moving.
So this is a picture of me when I was. So this is October of '83. So I was 2 years old here, and this picture is actually on the cover of one of my albums, Hymns from Home. And this is my first piano. I want to show it to you. Oh, is it glare? See
Look
it?
at that.
See that little toy piano? Isn't
Look
that
at
great?
that.
Isn't it great? Okay, so a friend of mine wanted to bless me by finding, now it's not the one, but it is the same toy,
Yeah.
right? They made a bunch of them. He found it on eBay. Look at this.
No.
It's, look at that. Isn't that great?
That's
And it's in
so
tune and
cute.
everything. Isn't
That's
that neat?
so neat.
I think that's just one of the coolest things in the whole world. I absolutely love it. I, I, I paused and I just stared at it and I went, so neat. So neat. So that's where it all started. 2 years old. 2 years old. And then at 5, I started taking actual piano lessons. So, but yeah. So this stays in my office.
Wow.
Stays in my office.
Look at that. And look at where you are now. Goodness. Look at you go.
Look at me. You
Look at
can't help.
you.
You can't help it. The camera's on me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, in all of these years, you've had tiny little green piano, tiny little toy piano, to now big grand piano, CD. What is the best piece of advice you've been given in this journey?
Best piece of advice. I've been given so much good advice. Um, whatever you're going to do, be sure the Lord is okay with it.
Yeah.
1, 2, give it 150%, not 100%. 100% is average. Give it 150% or more. Um, and one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard is be available.
Yeah.
Be available. Be available for people. Be available for God. Be willing to just go and do. Ministry is, the Lord called me to ministry. Ministry's not easy. Let's face it, nothing really is easy. I love it. I have a passion for it, and but I'm constantly depending on the Lord for everything. So yeah, that's the top 3 specifically.
I think those are so good. The be available, that is what a good friend of mine said to me way back when I first started this, and it changed my life and the trajectory of what I'm doing too, because
Yep,
this is not something that is for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
so true. And
So,
ask God for wisdom.
yeah,
Wisdom. You need wisdom. Anyway, so
absolutely.
there's that.
Put the fork in the ground, stake in
Right.
the ground. Okay, Josh. Well, how can people keep up to date with everything you're doing with tour, with music? How can they stay up to date with you?
Well, the easiest way I always say is Google. Just do a search for Tribute Quartet or for Josh Singletary, and you'll find everything and anything there is to know. A little more complicated, I'd say go to joshsingletary.com and or tributequartet.com.
Well,
and you'll find everything there. And of course, all the social medias, all the streaming platforms, all the things. We're all
perfect.
there.
Love
And
it.
Hovey approves.
He approves this message. This non-political
Oh,
advertisement.
he just huffed. He went.
Good to know. Josh, thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for letting me do this. I greatly
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
It's always good to hear your voice and talk to you.
Aw, that bad at home, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh, you're the best.
Thank you.
Friends, thanks so much for listening in today to the podcast episode with Josh Singletary. I pray that you are encouraged. I pray that you're reminded that you are loved by the God of the universe, and nothing can change the love he has for you. If you want to stay up to date with everything that is happening within the life of our ministry, you can follow us on all the social platforms that we are on.